Hey everybody, what's up? This is Sheba. I have been away for a while regarding my numerology videos, and I noticed that a couple people had commented asking and requesting me to do a video for the number 6 and to finish the series. So I got a little second wind again. I got inspired. At first I was like, oh, nobody's watching my videos. This sucks. But at the same time, you know, it's really important to share regardless because well, number one, I think that it's really important to share because it helps you connect with other people, and it also helps you reiterate the information that you do know. And you never know, you know, you could inspire someone by what it is that you share. So here I am in the spirit of sharing, and I'd like to offer the information that I have to you regarding numerology. Okay, so I was doing a series of videos, and I always say that it really helps. It's a really great device for memorization. If you remember numerology, Pythagorean numerology, and the psychological and emotional meanings of the numbers in a story. So if you take a look at the numbers 1 through 9, they actually mirror the different stages of manifestation and the different stages of maturation and human development. So I'll go over them and you'll see what I mean, because that probably sounds just like a lot of words right now. So, and I can be wordy, so bear with me. Number 1 is all about leadership and self-initiation, and that of course goes in alignment with the astrological knowledge that we can bring from the zodiac with the Aries, the fiery energy that is full of a lot of gusto and really is full of a lot of enthusiasm and is very bright and wants to do. That's the one, that's the leader, the self-initiator. From there, we break off to the 2, which is the partnership, right? So it's all about learning how to accept duality and how to accept oppositions. And then the 3, which is communication. The 4, which is all about acknowledgement of organization, order, and processes, and all those finite details that really need to come into life when you're materializing a project. And then 5 is the creative stage. I skipped 1 because I had a viewer request specifically for me to do the number 6. So 5, keep that in your mind. 5 is all about creativity, and of course it goes in alignment with astrology, with the Leo, and being a very creative, recreational, fun-loving person, all about the imagination. And then from there we go into the 6, and the 6 is about implementation. Now the 6 also is in alignment with the 6th house of Virgo, which is very concerned with being of service to people. A couple key words in the positive for the 6 are that they have a very keen eye for detail. They're really great at discriminating fact from fiction. They're service-oriented, they love family, they love to be of service to their community, and they feel at peace and validated by being of service, by giving themselves a job. So occupation is very important to the number 6. Unemployment is probably one of the most difficult periods for the number 6 because they really like to be utilized. They find so much joy and purpose and happiness and sheer elation in being of service. And they are also really great thinkers. They have really great minds. Again, the 6 relates to the we're talking about numerology. However, I started my studies based off of astrology, so I'll bring a lot of that information in. And I try not to hierarchicalize the knowledge or say that one branch of knowledge is more important than the other because they are all integrated and they work together. So that was just a sideline. But going back to the number 6, 6, it's very difficult for 6s not to have a clear life purpose and life path. They tend to be in very community-oriented, service-oriented positions that require a high degree of sensitivity and a high degree of complexity and intricacy in their thinking. As an example, my brother, he's a Virgo, and he also has a 6 in his number. He's a 1-6, which actually results in a 7, which makes him very analytical. However, that 6 energy that he does have on his birthday makes him the sweetest. I remember when I was a little girl, I'd be like, Jonathan, can you go get me a glass of water? And he'd always be like, okay. Be like, Jonathan, I left my stuff outside in the car. Can you go get me a glass of water? He'd be like, okay. So he loved it. He loved being of service. And of course, you know, because we're subject to the lower human perils of this world, the 6s also have to be very aware of not being overly utilized and allowing themselves to be taken advantage of. I took a couple notes here. I just wanted to make sure, just get my thoughts together. I wanted to make sure that I mentioned everything. I did mention that the 6 is extremely caring and compassionate. And that, in fact, is a big part of their character and identity. They really, really, really need, they have an emotional and psychological need to be of service. They feel emotionally fulfilled when they're helping other people and when they're supporting parts of an organization. They have a kind of compassion that is, my goodness, difficult to describe unless you're in their presence. They tend to be very intuitive and also very connected in terms of connected to harmony and music. Let's see here. I mentioned that 6s are very caring. They're validated through service. Oh, and in the negative, see, 6s are so good at taking a look at the fine details of things that they turn that modality and that capability within, and they look at themselves under a really, really, really strong magnifying glass, and that can lead to bouts of depression and low self-esteem because they're so keenly aware of their flaws and their own misgivings, and so keenly aware of their own level of vulnerability. It makes them really great in terms of being a natural counselor and healer for others. However, they also need to remember to bring that energy within and to not be so self-critical. Again, they're on the strong suit. They're very, very, critique is one of their fortes, and they can be of use in an organization when it comes to fine-tuning systems and processes. Remember, the 6 is all about implementation, so they love order and they love systems of organization. They're very idiosyncratic about the way that they like their systems done. If you have a 6 energy, you're probably very specific about the way you like certain things organized. This is not to say that you're organized in every area of your life, but it is to say that when it comes to particular things that are really close to your heart, because you're such a heartfelt person, those systems are really important to you. For the 6, another thing that comes to mind is perfectionism and wanting to be pristine, and this struggle and path toward purity and embodying purity, again, because the 6 is related to the 6th house of the Virgin. So you're very flushed in the cheeks. Remember, you've just come out of that 5 of creativity, and now you want to implement. So it tends to be very humble, very flushed in the cheeks. And by that, I mean metaphorically, flushed in the cheeks as in you're ready. You're ready to be of use. You're ready to implement. And I believe those are pretty much all the notes that I had for the 6. I'm going to go over this, and then if I feel like I mentioned other things, I can direct you to a post where I specifically talked about the number 6 and their bent toward perfectionism. One thing that I want to leave you with, if you are a 6 energy, if you're curious about the 6 energy, if you have it as your life path, your destiny number, your soul number, or even if you have it in your day of birth, please remember this as your mantra. There is a perfection in progress. See, 6s, what happens is they're so aware of the aerial view. They see the forest and they see all the little details, and they can get overwhelmed very easily emotionally overwhelmed because they're taking in so much. So remember, if you're a 6, there is a divine kind of perfection in progress. Keep going. It doesn't have to be perfect. I know you have high standards. I understand that sometimes you feel like you want to implode within yourself because your standards are so high. Sometimes you have hard days and your shoulders are low because you know what level is a high standard and maybe you didn't meet the mark, but that's okay. Just try again. If you struggle with over-analysis and you're a 6, keep a journal. And that's one thing that I recommend to all my viewers is to please keep a journal. You know, I say this with a lot of love, but we don't need to know all of your personal problems when you're in a social setting, regardless of whatever number that is. And I hate to come off like an asshole, but this is just the truth. It's very important to have social intelligence and social grace. Don't push your shit onto other people. Keep a journal as much as you can, process things on your own, and then when you go out into being social and when you're in your relationships, you can show up in your relationships with at least a little stability. I'm not telling you not to reach out to your friends if you need help. Obviously, reach out to your friends if you need help. I'm saying is that you should also keep a journal so you can have some kind of semblance of what it is that you're going through and really understand that for yourself. I hope this helped, and I'm sending you all love.